Welcome to Riverdale After Dark, a podcast about the CW's Riverdale. It's got a short little promo to talk to you about. I'm Alex.
When the promo's short, doesn't necessarily mean that you talk less. Sometimes you talk a lot when that happens, especially if you bring up the most terrifying topic of all, the cat briefcase. I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And as very cleverly teased at the beginning of this podcast, we're going to be talking about the new promo that dropped for Season 6 Return.
New promo that dropped
for Season 6 Return. Hey,
Have you seen this?
I got Petey Boy and the JT here with me to talk about the new Riverdale promo.
Yikes!
Anyway, there's a new promo called Typewriter. It's teeing up the rest of Season 6 that we're going to talk about. Also, we got a slew of questions from all of you on Twitter. So many questions. I don't know if we're going to have time to get through all of them, but we do appreciate everybody writing in. But before we even get to the promo, there is a big thing that we need to talk about. This was a huge thing that happened actually back in November, and we missed, but we haven't talked about on the podcast yet.
What?
Which is...
How did we miss something?
I don't know. We usually miss nothing.
Yeah, we famously
We're talking about
thorough.
cat briefcases, for Christ's sakes.
Well, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Justin, you've been pitching the idea of a cat briefcase for a while. Do you want to review what that is for new listeners of the podcast?
We all know.
No. Imagine this is
single...
somebody's first podcast. They're like, hey, I want to check out Riverdale Season 6 Hiatus Mailbag. Start with that before I go back to the beginning. They may have no idea.
Exactly, and this is the kind of thing that you definitely want to greet a new viewer, new listener with. So as we've
everybody.
As we've been curious about, Toffee has been missing, and a lot of people are wondering where could Toffee be, and I have the answer. Naturally, Toffee is in a cat briefcase, which, as we all know, is a briefcase that holds a cat with
torment,
where
torture
one side,
for your cat.
Where one side has food, the side by the mouth, and then on the other side you have a bunch of kitty litter. So it's like a perfect closed environment for a cat to live in.
Is there vents?
Comfortable.
How does the cat breathe?
Yeah,
there's probably a vent. I don't know.
And this is like maybe non-canonical, but there's a slot where you put lunch meat in to feed the cat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The old lunch meat slot?
Yeah. Now
you just jam some wet cat food into the slit in the
jam some ham.
Ham.
That's the ham jam slot. Anyway, you pitched this by Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, the showrunner of Riverdale, and he 100% supported it and agreed.
I believe he said that is in canon.
Yeah, that is in canon. Now, it was written up as news by Showbiz Cheat Sheet, which I assume is like on the level of the New York Times, as far as I know, on November 27th, 2021.
Showbiz Cheat Sheet is the young gray lady.
Yes. And the headline of the article is, at Riverdale, we finally know what happened to Betty's cat. So there you go. That's the whole thing, but great news. It's legit now. It's in the press.
Breaking news. And you know what? The press has been hounding me about this for so long. So like the fact that it's out there. How the
interview's been going?
Pretty good. It's a lot of cat people, briefcase people. Briefcase people are like, what an innovation.
Have you had to show people blueprints of it? Do people have a lot of questions about how it actually works?
No one has questions about how it works. I think it's very clear how it works.
Now, just to check, and I believe this is correct, you've talked to both Cat Fancy and Briefcase Fancy about this, right?
Yes, and I'll tell you what, Briefcase Fancy gives the hard interview. Maggie Haberman just went over to Briefcase Fancy.
She got fired by the New York Times. Yeah,
went to Briefcase Fancy.
Terrible.
So she's a hard-hitting reporter. I've shipped out prototypes to all the major media outlets, and so we're just waiting to hear, full of cats, naturally. So just waiting to hear what they think.
Oh, you shipped them out with cats in them?
It's part of the promo. Congratulations.
You got to see how it works. Yeah. If you just got a briefcase with no cat in it, how does it work?
Yeah,
Use forecast.
scientists don't just tell you what they're doing; they show you. And if nothing else, I'm a scientist.
Well, why don't we get to the season 6 promo titled Typewriter? As mentioned, there's just a little scotch of a little bit of what to expect from the rest of Riverdale season 6 there. We should also mention, in terms of the little bit of scotch, we talked to Brian E. Patterson, one of the writers, in a previous podcast, and did confirm to us that they are going to have 22 episodes. So if my math is correct, that is another 16 episodes that are going to be coming.
By the way, did it bother
17.
anybody else?
17?
Haven't we had 5?
Oh, we've had 5. I was miscounting. Yeah, my mouth was wrong.
No, you bigged up your math pretty big to blow it. Like, if my math is correct, it is not correct. It is 100% not correct.
Listen, man, I'm not a scientist like you. I don't understand things like
just
basic addition.
Hastily Googling math. I just said math, so I better know what it is. If my math, math
is that what math is? Oh, jeez.
Whoa.
You went to
Better edit
Cornell,
out that
man.
part of the
Come on.
podcast.
It's great. I'll know.
The other thing about this promo that I'll mention is when they sent it over to me at the day job, it said 6:06. So I kind of assumed that it was just for the next episode of the show. But as a couple of people have pointed out to me online, Hermione shows up here with a camera crew in tow. That seems to be happening in 6:07. There's some stuff that may happen in 6:08. So not entirely clear what exactly this is pulling on, whether it's just the first episode back or the first couple of episodes back. Let's assume it's the latter. But what did you think? Was it exciting to see us back in the Dale after being in the Vale for so long?
Ooh, back in the Dale versus the Vale.
Back in the Dale. Well, Pete, what did you think? We got a fair amount of Betty here.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's also very scary. Nervous about the showdown with the trash bag killer. But it'll be nice to back to where things actually matter. And, I'm glad that Tony is not going to be a ghost moving forward. So, this is exciting stuff to get back into the reality of Riverdale.
She might finish up parenting and work and be like, well, off to swamp. See you guys. Later.
She's a part-time water ghost. Maybe.
Exactly.
She does seem to be in trouble here. She's on the ground with the rest of the serpents, hands up. She's holding a very cool, it's a purplish snakeskin design on her phone, on her lock screen. That was pretty cool.
I was like the pressing, whatever, is that a Samsung phone? I was like, wow, I'm heavily featured in this trailer.
If you're going to get arrested, you want to get arrested with a Samsung phone. That's their slogan. I'll tell you what, I think it's nice to have Riverdale back. We love Riverdale. But after the wildness of Vale and thinking back to that promo, which that was the one that featured Betty saying there's nothing more that I want to have than to have your baby, which felt like this bomb going off.
Yeah.
To get this, I was like, oh, okay, this is
bomb
nice.
Going off.
Yeah. Well, it was all of the stuff in there. I was like, what is happening when I was watching that promo? Getting this is like, oh, okay, this is nice. This will be good. They'll fight Glenn a little bit. It didn't. This is not a knock on it, but it didn't feel as big and explosive as previous promos.
How dare you?
It's funny you say that because I get that it's not the same as Riverdale, but I was excited to be like, yes, all of these threads and plots that we haven't, that have just been sort of twisting in the wind while we were in all the fun and wildness of Riverdale. And now we're back at it. Like, we didn't get any Barchi except for the fact that it seems like Betty's fighting both Glenn and the trash bag killer. Maybe not one and the same. And then Archie shows up to fight Glenn at the end. Maybe that's an illusion there, but they purposefully keep the ships a little bit out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Reggie and Veronica are fighting. We get that. We don't know exactly what it's about. Veronica looks at her phone, isn't upset about something. So that's going on as well. So clearly it does feel like we speculated that maybe some of the emotional intent of what happened over Rivervale is being taken over to Dale, but I guess we'll have to see how that pans out.
It feels like Man Monica is strong.
We'll
also, a.k.a.
see.
Veggie.
It does. I mean, based on the fact that their one exchange is fighting with each other.
But that's how they communicate. That's their love language.
It's okay.
That's their love language.
Right.
I just mean the fact that they were together feels like they will, in the same room, they will continue to be together.
I think my favorite shot in the trailer, though, was whatever's going on with Penelope acting like some Spider Woman or something, the candles breaking out, and then Cheryl saying, we're going to have to perform an exorcism. So I like that, and that does provide a nice contrast to where we were with Cheryl in Riverdale, which was straight up supernatural. So it seems like here, at least, back in Riverdale, she is skeptical about this stuff.
Well, I think she still has powers, though.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Why do you think that, Pete?
Because it's Cheryl. That's why.
Oh, wow.
You can't.
Wow. She still has brooches.
The other big thing, though, that I'll mention that happens at the beginning of the trailer, which we already knew about, but I think this is the thing that I'm beyond the wildness of whatever's going on with Cheryl that I think emotionally I'm most interested in is Jughead is going to be suffering from some hearing loss due to the explosion at Archie's house. And it seems like they are going to really be delving into this with Jughead and Tabitha, which I think will be interesting to follow.
Yeah, and it's curious to me that the name of the trailer is Typewriter, and that's where we start. That he's maybe going to be writing more, or somehow he's struggling with this, and that may finally get him to write on something. It feels like Jughead in general is heading into a new, different direction that I'm excited for because
I think we've
done a lot with it.
I think it's naming a typewriter is just a ploy to try to get Tom Hanks interested maybe in having a cameo or something. You know what I mean?
What are you talking about?
Tom Hanks famously loves typewriters, especially old-timey typewriters. So they're kind of setting this up as a little bit of bait, like put stuff out there to kind of get Tommy Hanks.
Hanks bait?
Yeah.
He's going to come over with a Hanks briefcase?
Yeah, exactly. And don't change
It'll
Tom
be Joe
Hanks'
versus
litter.
Volcano. He's got tons of different, briefcases, a different size,
Favorite movie of all time, Joe versus
I don't know exactly what you're talking about here, Pete, but before we wrap up, what do you think about the showdown between Glenn and Archie that's happening here at the end of the promo? Who's going to win? I think
glad
Glenn.
to see it.
I think Glenn's going to win.
Yeah, it's about time he became the true focal point of Riverdale. He could finally be Glendale. Is what we were looking for.
There we go. Perfect. Why don't we move on to some questions, comments? Were you going to say something else?
I was going to say Glenn has such a punchable face, and I think we're going to get to see that punched.
Ooh.
I agree. I think we are going to.
That's exciting. Don't tease something like that if it's not going to happen. That's,
Well, I don't know 100%, but I do think that. If I'm doing my math correctly, then he's going to get punched with 9 fingers.
Wow.
I will say I did really like his delivery on "Oh no" towards the end of the trailer. Just is like, Archie's going to kick the crap out of me. Here we go. Yeah. Very fun. Why don't we move to some questions, comments, and theories from all of you? This first one is from Camille Mac 6. A character from Vale was coming to Dale. If I didn't miss something, do we know who it will be? No, I don't think we
Great
do.
question.
But any suspicions or further theories? We've talked about it before.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's something from the Cheryl creepy house thing that we saw.
I mean, on that note, I will say there's no confirmation of this, but I do wonder. Trevor Steins has been filming some stuff, not necessarily for Riverdale, but just filming some stuff in general. So I do wonder if that might be a way of bringing over a character from Dale, which is talking Jason, like Jason who is alive, either in dream sequences or otherwise, so that it does stay in the Cheryl world of things and it doesn't break the reality of Jason being dead.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sort of sense. I don't think we're going to get like someone bursting out of a portal or anything like that. Maybe, I mean, it won't be Sabrina, but that would be dope. Mm-hmm. And sort of Dilton took such a focus in Rivervale and was sort of dispatched almost off camera in a weird way in Riverdale. That was where my first thought went, but I just don't know how they would do it.
The other one that I'll throw out there, and I know I talked about this on the podcast before, but I still like the theory that Good Hal could come over from Riverdale because I think, I think that would mess up so many things in the show in a really interesting way. You got Alice and Frank starting this romance. If Good Hal comes back, what does that mean for them? Obviously for Betty, for a lot of the other characters, like I think, they could pass it off as a twin or whatever they want to do. I think there's some options there that would be fun.
Yeah, we could definitely do some evil or good twin things here.
This is from Lauren Gracie 5. I just want to mention a phallus and a conversation to be held on my girl Alice. Is she doing okay? Has she dumped Frank? Machen is a star and deserves all the screen time. Do you think we're going to get more Alice throughout the rest of season 6?
I hope so, especially with the budding romance going, yeah.
I think we're going to get some Frank, and then if we could get an F Palace phallus battle, like a true end of season throwdown love triangle, that would be fun.
Rides back into town for the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think we're going to see Frank and Alice going for a while, but I guess in terms of FP returning, I still don't see that happening until the end of the series.
Come on, man.
I would love
end of the
it.
Series.
Yeah.
You think end of the series?
I think end of the series. I think like a cameo, pulls up on his bike, throws out his gum, takes Alice off, and then they ride off into the sunset. That's the final shot.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's really Alice, I'm back for more gum. And that's it. No romance on my mind at all.
Yeah, damn fine gum, right? Isn't that?
Yep.
That gum you like
Peaks.
is back in style? Is that what it is?
Wow.
Very
good.
I know what I'm talking about. This is from, let's see if there's an agenda here. Barchi Updates on Twitter. I think Glenn is the TBK and Archie and Betty will take him down together. One of them gets hurt. Now, question, what do you think? Why was Archie moving this fast in the promo? A lot of people have been discussing that very last shot of Archie running towards the camera and wondering whether he's suddenly gotten super speed like the Flash. What do you think about that? Oh, Pete died.
Sorry.
I think Archie's moving with purpose because he's got a spring in his step because he's in love with Betty, and it's happening. We're doing that. That's what we're living in. That's sort of like the house we've built around ourselves, and we open the door and said, "Hello, I live here in Barchi Town now." It wouldn't be, we could call the show that eventually. So I think
Who would watch that?
Me and Barchi Daily, and I would. That's for sure.
Barchi Updates. Barchi Updates.
Barchi Daily, get on it. So the identity of the trash bag killer feels. I just think if it's Glenn, we always get into this speculation where it's like it can't be them. It's too obvious, too set up, and then sometimes it is. Mm-hmm. And it does feel like Glenn as the trash bag killer would be, it's so right in front of us. I feel like there will be one twist in here.
You're going to be so pissed when it's revealed that the trash bag killer is the cat briefcase. You're going to fucking be so upset.
Oh, my business plans.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Glenn. I'm just going to throw that out there. And you're absolutely right that we overthink this all the time. But he's such a nebbishy dweeb that it just feels like too much of a character change for him to be the trash bag killer. If anything, what I took away from the promo is maybe he uses Betty as bait for the trash bag killer, and that's why they're pissed at him or something like that. I also don't think Archie has super speed. I just think he is running towards the camera, and that's why it looks fast. Yeah, just going to throw that out there. Well, we're going to get to something potentially in a second that might touch on that. This is from Jay Bolcom. Is the fallout from Archie's deployments done while General Taylor is found to have misled the unit into a slaughter? Will other missions he carried out come back and bite him, Betty too, in their time? Do you think we're done with the whole military thing?
I do think we're done with that. I feel like Archie is going to be sort of in a different place. This is a big reset time following Riverdale. I think we're going to get and settle into something new with Archie and everybody across the board, I think. New status quo.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun thing or not fun thing about Archie is he goes through different phases. Like, will he pick up a guitar and remember he liked music again? I don't know. That could be over for a while, but we'll see. That guy's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, maybe we've all taken some time and been a shirtless vigilante.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's very relatable. That was the part of Riverdale I related to the most, other than that time I was a stick monster.
That is true. Yeah. I know. I can't believe how I worshipped at your altar for so long.
Hey, thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for drinking my blue juice. This is from Choni Shipper. How do you think they will reunite Shoni? Pretty simple question. What do you think, Pete? Justin, you think Shoni is done for a while, right?
I do think Shoney's done for a while, and no shade, I love Shoney. I think Shoney is Endgame, but I think we're going to really slow play into that, is my prediction.
Okay, well, I mean, I like your Endgame, and I hope it doesn't have to take a long time, because those two are great together, and having them apart is killing us, and it's just not fair. So stop the madness, get Shoney back together.
Before you get to Endgame, you got to go through Friend Game. So maybe we'll get that.
I don't think you're wrong, Justin. I mean, I love Shoney as well, and I want them to get back together, and I think they're absolutely magical and wonderful together. But at the same time, I love a good slow burn, and I think there's a lot of work that Cheryl needs to do on herself to get back together with Tony. Tony, whether we like it or not, is together with Fangs, and they're raising a baby, so it isn't like she's just going to jump off and get back together with Cheryl. But I would love it if we'd see it this season, but I feel like if we take even longer, that's okay. Create that tension there, build it. I love the tension. That's fun to watch. It's exciting. This from Sprousehart_QT. I believe that Hal never died because Penelope kills people with poison, not with a weapon. So therefore, I think he is TBK.
Whoa.
While we've been talking, I was also thinking Hal would be a good TBK, and also could be, as you said, Alex, the character brought over from Riverdale, rolled into one. Great move. Though I guess the idea then would be like, not only is he a serial killer, he's a serial killer who just like went out on his own for a while, and Betty got put on the case, maybe coincidentally.
Potentially. I guess we'll see what happens with that. I like Lachlan Monroe. He's a fun presence to have on the show. So if he's revealed to be the TBK, even if it doesn't quite tie together or make sense, I'm cool with it.
I think it's going to be the bear is the trash bag killer.
There you go. This is from Boss Bex.
It'd be great to see him back finally sucking on a cheesesteak.
It's a classic catchphrase. Boss Beck says, what are your thoughts on the theory based on an audition tape about Betty having some kind of pyrokinesis power? Do you think Riverdale will go that route? Are you into it? I know you've always said that you think the show won't really go supernatural, so I'm curious what you think. Now, to give some background here, there was an audition tape or supposed audition tape posted on Vimeo. I believe it was Vimeo, showing somebody doing some dialogue with Betty where she is investigating, is it possible to create fires with your mind? And the assumption from a lot of fans,
classic investigation,
fire starter investigation. The assumption was, Betty has that, and this ties into something that I believe Cole Sprouse said about the after effects of the explosion in Betty and Archie's house having some arcane, was the word he used, repercussions. So, not that hearing loss is necessarily arcane, but clearly he's dealing with that. The question is, what are Betty and Archie dealing with? So that ties back into people are like, ooh, maybe they're going to get superpowers. Archie becomes super speed. Betty gets fire starter powers. What's going to happen there? What do you think? Justin, you're nodding your head. No.
That would be so wild. And you can't put anything off the table when it comes to Riverdale. It's a big table.
That's right. You can't.
It's a big weird table. You never know what's on the table. It's like a Thanksgiving with all your weird relatives, you know? You know what I'm talking about? You like your Pete's, your Alex's. Everybody shows up. So what I'm saying is like, but that would be so unlikely to me. I think the reference to Firestarter, the Stephen King book and movie, right, makes sense for Riverdale to dive into. But I feel like it'll be something where it's a perception thing. It's something like the floating babies that we all know it was something someone imagined.
You took my fucking...
All you had was floating babies. And took it away
I was going
to
say, as we all know, since that footage was leaked, then after that leaked a meeting when they were talking about show stories, and it was like, we can't have fire starters and floating babies. Let's make a hard decision. And of course, they chose to keep floating babies.
Half the staff left. They just quit the show because they're like, I'm not going to do this. I can't leave the floating babies behind. We got to go with pyrokinesis. One thing that I'll mention as a little side thing is, and you guys know this very well, but for anybody listening out there, when you see an audition tape, even if it's a supposed audition tape, it's not necessarily a script from the show. A lot of the times they're giving you what are called sides, which are things that are created to get the sense of a character versus an exact script. Sometimes you will get an exact script or a piece of a script, but sometimes it is things created. There was something last season which I don't even know if it was a real audition thing, but somebody was a character coming in and talking to Cheryl about how she was reincarnated from Abigail Blossom and they were going to destroy Riverdale. And obviously there were like some little senses of that, but that also could have been somebody trying to build awareness for their brand because they're like, hey, I'm auditioning for Riverdale. Could be the same thing here. But as is, maybe it will be an exact script, maybe not. What were you going to say on that, Justin?
You can always trust an actor. Actors don't lie, so whatever they're posting, I'm sure it's 100% truthful to Riverdale.
Well, if it is, like, let's say for sake of argument, I would actually say, just to follow this line of logic, I think pyrokinesis is probably going to go to Archie. He's got the red hair, right? Like, and he's a fireman. So having some sort of thing where he's like, whoa, why are fires popping up all over me? What's going on? Makes a lot more sense, I think.
I take your point, Alex, but I think I have another theory. Archie does have red hair, so in a lot of ways, he's the fire. And you know that Betty is the true fire starter on this show.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that Archie keeps seeing himself in the mirror with his red hair. He's like, oh, my God, my head's on fire. What's going on?
Oh, no.
Yeah. It could just be a trip. They have like a dream sequence or, you know, they all do a bunch of jingle jangle and they all have superpowers for a little bit. Who knows how it's going to happen? Anything can happen on this show. It's insane.
Yeah, but whatever it is, would go back to I think there'll be a Riverdale explanation rather than a supernatural one.
Yeah.
Why don't we move on? Arch and Betts says, fun one. What's everyone's favorite Riverdale moment before time jump and post time jump? Could be funny, sentimental, whatever you guys feel. So favorite pre-time jump and post-time jump moment. First thought off the top of your head. Maybe it doesn't have to be favorite, but just one that you really like.
None.
I
mean, the Origin of
moments.
Love song. No, I got a moment. The Betty Archie song from the musical episode right before the time jump. Great.
That's a great
Can't beat
moment. Before the time jump, this is maybe not my favorite moment, but I've been thinking about Shoney stuff a lot, as I often do.
No.
And the thing,
Delilah.
the escape from the farm, the window moment where Cheryl locks the window behind her and lets Tony go free. That gets me every time.
Great.
So
Great
good.
moment.
Wow.
And from post, gosh, I don't know. Give me a second to think about it. Pete, you go.
My mind's flooded with all these crazy moments. Like the first thing I thought of was Pops's place. You know, there's been so many great booth moments where people are just kind of like eating food before something goes horribly wrong. Yeah, and then I thought of what's his face in his rocket ship, like how crazy that was.
Edgar Evernever.
Yeah, and then I went on a kind of Cheryl roller coaster of like her, you know, being an archer and then also having superpowers and like, you know, and then that house and the
So your answer's the whole show?
Yeah,
Your favorite moment is the whole
it's
entire
hard
show?
It's hard
The series?
to, you know, pick one moment because, man, there've been some crazy stuff.
I mean, this is
post-
also. Oh, I was just going to say real quick, this is also not a moment, but when I think of post-time jump stuff, that first episode back, Purgatory, is so good. Like, legitimately one of the best episodes of the show. And I do think a lot about the energy that brought there with Archie returning home, meeting up with Tony, finding everything that's going on. That just felt like something completely fresh and different. And I know they only really kept up that energy and focus for a couple of episodes, but I loved it so much. And I really do hope that they can get back there in some way someday.
Post time jump, my fave is the moment when Archie's heart is torn out, because that's when I feel like I was like, oh, wow, Riverdale goes this hard, and we're going to get a full 4 more, if I'm doing the math correctly, 4 more episodes of this this absolute like peak heightening and wildness, and I was very excited at that time.
Yeah. We have a bunch more questions here, but I do think we have to start wrapping up. So I'll do a quick one. This is from Bronwyn. Nate says, what is the name of the song in the trailer? Desperate at this point. So I don't know this for a fact, but usually and previously what they'll do is, I believe it's Warner Brothers has a song library of proprietary songs that are created by artists. Usually they'll create like a 15-second, a 30-second, a 60-second, and a full-length song, and then trailer folks who are editing it together can pull on those songs. So they don't exist anywhere else. They're just owned in that trailer library, and that's it. So that's most likely what that song is, and that's why you're going crazy. You will never be able to listen to it anywhere other than that trailer.
Oh,
I'm sorry. No.
Wow.
I just
You
don't
just,
want.
like,
I
said,
don't want
"Hey,
my
sorry,
good
you're
friend
gonna-"
Bronwyn Nates to be going nuts out there. So
It seems like you just sent him down a crazier hole
to
than
break into the WB vault.
Yeah, I will say, as if it's a record in the actual safe. I will say, you're right, Alex, about how that stuff is created, but there's a chance that the song could appear in a longer form in an episode if it's something that they are using as a theme for this run of episodes or something like that. So
And
keep
just
listening is what I would say.
And just, throwing it out there, if you did want to break in to the WB, I'll help. I'd be into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tried to
Sort
do
of
that
a-
once with the Animaniacs, right?
Oh, man, yeah, it did not go well.
LePage is 11 over here.
I thought I was running down a tunnel, but it was a wall.
Yeah.
and I fooled every time by that.
And two quick things, just because they were specifically for you guys. Barchi Hart says, as long as Justin talks about Barchi and how excited he is for them, that was it. Check. We did that. And then we got one for Pete here. This is from Shura Werewolf. Do you think Bughead will investigate TBK together? Will Jughead get his hearing back again? Will Betty actually open herself about her trauma with TBK? Who do you think TBK might be? What will be the repercussions of Riverdale and Riverdale? At Real Pete LePage, these are for you. Go ahead.
Wow.
Pete.
Okay. All right. So
Answer them all.
I think the repercussions of Vale versus Dale is that there will be some like creepy supernatural effects that start to leak in, which would be insane. But that's my prediction. I think that hopefully the thing that brings them together is the solving mysteries, solving crimes. And I think that if anybody can get Jughead's hearing back, it is Betty. And I think maybe that'll help crystallize some things for Jughead.
I don't know. Not to break into your question, Pete, and treat it seriously, but I think if they are going to deal with hearing loss with Jughead, I hope they do treat it seriously and treat it legitimately rather than a Riverdale way of got this hearing loss. Oh, I'm cured. Have it be an ongoing thing. Have it be something that he has to deal with maybe
It's Riverdale,
for the length
dude.
of the entire show.
You're like, I hope Riverdale stops being Riverdale for a little bit. Like, what are you talking about?
No, but it's a legitimate thing that people deal with that I think, we've talked about before about how the show has varied in terms of dealing with real world issues. But this is an important enough thing that I hope they just don't skip over it in 2 episodes,
I guess it makes the most sense to do like an inner space thing where they travel inside Jughead's brain and fix his ear with the computers and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely agree. And thank you all for sending in your questions. Sorry we couldn't get to everything.
I just wanted to quickly just say Bughead for life.
Oh, okay, great.
Thank
you all.
I'm just
really
going to jump in.
Yeah. If you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/comic book club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Riverdale. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Riverdale Dark on Twitter, at Riverdale After on Instagram, Riverdale After Dark on Facebook, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast, and many more. Until next time, we'll see you after dark.
Barchi forever.
Okay.
Bye.
Me wanting